Dead by Daylight's Stranger Things Chapter 2 has been out for about a week now, and as it's one of my favorite shows mixed with one of my favorite games, I thought it was time that I gave my opinion on what turned out to be a pretty awesome DLC, or add-on, or whatever you want to call it. I'm Alex from Sandro Says. Let's start talking about Stranger Things in Dead by Daylight. Alright, so for those of you not aware, Stranger Things was one of the early additions to Dead by Daylight. By early, I mean the game has been around, I think, 10 years now. This is the 10th anniversary. Stranger Things originally did a tie-in around the time Season 3 was coming out. So they had Steve Harrington and Nancy Wheeler added into the game, which was pretty awesome. Also, the Demogorgon was added, and a Hawkins Lab. Around 2021, the license to Stranger Things was lost for some reason. So all those characters left the store. If you already bought them, you could keep them. But Hawkins Lab disappeared. And then 2 years ago, Hawkins Lab came back as a map, and you could buy Steve and Nancy again. So it seems pretty interesting that now they've had a Chapter 2 to this. Very few DLCs have gotten a Chapter 2. And Stranger Things, considering there was a gap where it wasn't available at all, now it's got Chapter 2. So Chapter 2 involves Vecna, also known as the First. That's the villain from this chapter. And then you have two survivors. You have Dustin Henderson and Eleven, also known as Jane Hopper. And then you have some skins or other outfits or whatever. Dustin's secondary outfit, his legendary skin or whatever you want to call it, is Eddie Munson. So that's pretty awesome. Eddie's in the game. And then there's a legendary skin added for Nancy Wheeler, which makes her into Robin Buckley. So you have all these Stranger Things characters now. That's 5 or 6 total at this point, because you already had Steve and Nancy. Jonathan Byers was added as a Steve costume. So that's 6 or 7 people. It's crazy. So pretty awesome. All right, so the DLC came out a week ago. The overall aesthetic is amazing. They have the Mind Flayer in the background of the loading screens and the the match loading screens. The overall feel, like you hear the Stranger Things theme in the background sometimes, just little hints of it. So overall, they did a great job with that part alone. They added a bunch of Hellfire Club outfits so that you could buy them for other characters that aren't involved in Stranger Things. That was pretty cool. Okay, so let's go into the characters themselves now. I'll start with Eleven. I personally think that they did a great job on her design. Her standard design is her Season 5 outfit, her workout outfit, where she was for the first half of the season, basically. Where it was the sweatpants and the shorts and all that. They also have an unlockable for her where she wears the Season 3 outfit, which is pretty sweet. The neon outfit when her and Max were at the mall. So that's something I plan on buying. I didn't buy it yet. So her design is an A. Absolute A across the board. Great job. The voice is kind of like a B. None of the voices that they got for Stranger Things are licensed, or none of them are the actual actors, I should say. So it's varying levels of success. Eleven's sounds like a generic girl, kind of. It's nothing special. The thing about Eleven is she doesn't talk much, so she kind of gets away with it. So, whatever. It is what it is.
I'm not afraid.
As far as her perks, I really like Eleven's perks out of the group. I think she might have the best as far as the 3 people we're going to talk about today. She has extrasensory perception, which is she can see the auras, or if she crouches for 4 seconds, she can see the auras of survivors, the killer, the hatch, generators, pallets, totems. This perk you can use for all that stuff. Basically, it takes anywhere from a minute to 40 seconds to recharge, depending on what level you get it to. But she can just crouch, see where everything is. It's really useful at the beginning of the match. You crouch down, you see where the killer basically could be heading, so that gives you a brilliant way to get out of it. You're also invisible to the killer at that point, as far as they can't see your aura. You're also blind or oblivious, so you don't hear their terror radius if they're near you. It doesn't show killers if the killer is invisible, so if, for instance, the Wraith is cloaked, you won't see him. So there are some drawbacks, and it does have a bit of a long cooldown. Also, sometimes you can trigger it by accident if you crouch to show someone hey, heal me. That'll trigger the thing, and then you've wasted it. So it's a fun perk. As far as her other perks, teamwork, soft-spoken for each survivor repairing the generator with you within the range of, a couple meters or whatever. The generator's repair noise is reduced by 15, 20, or 25%, and also the others that you repair faster if you're repairing with other survivors. So that's useful, but that's kind of one of those generator, help along perks that most people probably won't use. I can't see it being that useful. And then there's We See You, which is you gain a token whenever the killer reads your aura. So once you have 4 tokens, then you can read the killer's aura, and the entire team, you share it to them for 10 seconds, up to 15 if you get the prestige on it. And then there's a 10-second cooldown between tokens. I use this perk a lot, and I haven't found that most killers are using their aura sensing, so it's hit or miss. It's like a lot of perks, it's really feast or famine. The only time it's super helpful is at the beginning of a match if a killer is using Lethal Pursuer, so you know right off the bat that, hey, they're on you. That's kind of nice. But otherwise, a perk you can do without. So of all of them, Extrasensory Perception is by far the most useful for a varied number of playing styles. Moving on to Dustin. Dustin's design is going to be a couple different grades here. I'm going to give him an A for the DLC or the secondary outfit you can buy for him. It's his Season 4 outfit where he's got his thinking cap. He's got his kind of like open shirt, khakis. It's kind of like the outfit he wears for the second half of the season. So that, I think, is awesome. The Season 5 outfit, not only did I dislike it in real life, it made him, kind of brooding and was really dark. It doesn't come across well in the game. It makes him look super short because of the trench coat, and he's already a short character. It doesn't look right. And the mullet, something about it just doesn't work for me. So I give it like an A for his other costumes, and then a C plus probably for the Season 5 costume. Eddie's costume gets an A also. Eddie, they really did a great job with Eddie. He also, during the waiting screens when you're waiting around, they have great acknowledgments between the characters. Dustin will acknowledge Steve, Steve will acknowledge Dustin acknowledges Eddie or Nancy. It's really kind of cool how they put in some of those things where they all kind of reference each other.
Shit. You'll be fine, Harrington.
And it's not always the same, and so it's kind of nice. And then, like I said, during the waiting periods in between, 11, I didn't mention hers earlier, she does a couple, she tries to put her hand and test her powers. Eddie plays with his guitar, among other things. I forget what Eddie also does. Dustin takes out his walkie and, messes with it. So you have some cool stuff, some cool, nods to the show that are thrown in there.
Dustin really liked you, Steve.
All right, now something not so cool. Dustin's voice. I don't know what they thought they were doing with this voice, but Dustin, especially the season they took him from, Season 5, he's supposed to be 16 years old at this point. They took an 8-year-old with a bad lisp and said, okay, you're Dustin. And it's hard. The voice is the worst part about the DLC. Dustin's voice, it sounds nothing like him.
Is this like a pocket dimension? For honor and glory, Eddie.
It's laughable. The quotes don't even really sound like anything he would say. So I give an F. An F to the voice. And unfortunately, I might have to give an F plus to the perks, because Dustin's perks are also just mediocre. We have Bada Bada Boom, which is after you complete 20% of a generator, you can activate this, and you can put a trap on a window, which stays active for either 40, 50, or 60 seconds. Awesome. The killer has to vault through the window, and then they're hindered for 6 seconds. Now, I don't know about you. When I play killer, I am very rarely vaulting through windows. And when I was testing out this perk, I found that to be the case with killers. I would put this on a window and dance by it and do whatever I could. Couldn't get anyone to go over a window. Eventually, on almost my last time trying, before I said I'm abandoning this perk forever, I got a killer to vault over the window into it, and it hindered him for a second, and then he just continued right on. It meant nothing. It wasn't a freeze. It wasn't a blinding. If he still sees you, he's just slowed down. So it's really not a good perk. Change of Plan is Dustin's second perk. You start the trial with 2 tokens. When you hide inside a locker, if you're holding a non-event toolbox, it transforms the toolbox into a medkit of the same quality, but it has a random add-on. Now, I believe the toolbox I don't know if if it can be empty or be used. If it's empty, then that's fine. I didn't end up getting to use this perk because to me this one seems ultra useless. If you're hoping to, why don't you just bring the perk? I forget who it's from, Simon Belmont maybe, where you can recharge your item or something. I don't want to switch from one item to another. If you're hoping to switch to a med kit, something has gone wrong in your game. So this one I just I wipe off the map. I didn't like it. And then Teamwork Full Circuit, similar to 11, Dustin has a perk where if you're repairing a generator with him or near him, they give larger skill check areas. Again, this is like an early, I forget her name, but it's an early perk where it's like, oh yeah, if you're really bad at gens, use this. Oh, the one where if you make a mistake on a generator, it will make noise. It's like, these are training wheels for when you first get the game and you don't know what's going on. No one that's at all a veteran at this game is using this perk because of the extra space it gives you on skill checks. That's laughable. I don't know why Dustin would have that anyway. You do repair 5% faster if you have survivors with you, which is nice if you're repairing with someone else. So that's a cool benefit, I guess, but it's a pretty wasted perk otherwise. So I really, like I said, this is like an F+ set of perks for poor Dustin Henderson. Poor Dusty Buns. Last but not least, Vecna, a.k.a. the First. Now, I've really enjoyed playing as Vecna. I think it's a mix of, it's a new character, so everyone's playing as him as a villain, but also people aren't used to how to defend him, and it's, but he has a good ranged attack. He has the vines that can come out from underground, from the upside down, and basically you could put people in a state where they're then vulnerable to those. So the first hit with those makes them vulnerable, and then the second hit, you can actually hurt them. It's kind of like the, I forget his name, the guy from Resident Evil, that you can, when you hit them with your whip attack, you can increase their ability to get injured. So Vecna is pretty awesome to play as. You can also traverse into the upside down. When you traverse, you are invisible or undetectable. You can also attack coming out of that. Now, the survivors can see you when you're attacking coming out of that, but it's still kind of hard for them to avoid your radius, your circumference of attack, which also adds to their ability to be brought into the World Breaker mode. The World Breaker mode is the one I was mentioning. So, as far as Vecna's perks, you have Hex Hive Mind. The first time you hook any survivor, a random dull totem becomes a Hex, provided there is a dull totem left. All generators are highlighted, and the intensity of the highlight tells how far along they are. As soon as 4 generators are completed, all remaining generators explode and lose some progress, and then the hex is dulled. So that's pretty interesting. Definitely a fun hex. I don't know if I would use it myself, but I could see that. I don't like hexes because they're too risky. Me as a survivor, I love, like, more than surviving and getting out, I love taking away hex totems. So if I'm playing against someone like me, that's a waste of a perk then. Secret Project. Whenever a totem is blessed or cleansed, a random unblocked generator becomes blocked for 30 seconds. Whenever any generator becomes blocked, you gain undetectable for 30 seconds. Now, this is an interesting one. Like if you're playing against someone like me who likes to attack the totems, boom. The minute one's cleansed or blessed, this is going to lock a generator and make you undetectable. Undetectable for 30 seconds doesn't seem like a lot, but it's huge because you can really sneak up on a team at that point and cause some damage. So, depending on your playstyle, this might be good for you. Again, there's some other perks that make you undetectable that might end up being more feasible or more fruitful here. And the perk of Vecna's that I like the most, Turn Back the Clock. After you hook a survivor, you have either 40, 50, or 60 seconds, depending on the prestige of this, to attack a generator without standing next to it. So you can be within 20 meters of a generator. You press the ability button. It takes like a second, and the generator explodes and loses 10% progress and starts regressing. So you don't have to walk over to the generator for this point. If something's really far along, you get within 20 meters, boom, knock it, and then turn right back to the chase you were on, instead of having to go over there and go through the actual kicking or through the actual, you get blinded or something like that, and then they finish it in front of you. So this is a really interesting perk, especially if you're, if you want to switch off a barbecue and chili or something and attack things that are close by. You hook them, and then you go find the gen that has the most progress, and you set it back. So it's pretty sweet. And as far as his main attack, I love it. It's amazing, but there's a learning curve to it. when you're trying to pull the vines out from the ground and they're on a different level from you, you can surprise someone and it's amazing, or you can have the vines bounce back and hit a random like edge of the wall in front of you and they do nothing. So it's boom or bust. I don't know if it'll be patched or it's just one of those things. There's a learning curve. You have to, you're going to have to figure out how to position these things better, especially if you want to try to risk one from a different floor than the survivor is on. But it's been interesting sometimes missing with those and seeing, where it goes. But otherwise, overall, I really have to give this DLC some credit. I find it funny that they put Vecna in just like last year, it seems, the actual DBD Vecna, and now they have Vecna from this. I wonder if they would have rethought that if they knew this was happening. But added some great new character models. You're seeing a lot of Stranger Things people flying around in the game. You have the Steve and the Chips Ahoy, or the Scoops Ahoy. Robin has the Scoops Ahoy outfit as her main one. You know, a lot of Dustin and Eddie people running around. So it's been fun, especially, after the sadness of season 5's ending and all of our issues after that. This has been kind of a nice renaissance for Stranger Things in a fun way. So let me know what you thought in the comments. What was your favorite part of the DLC? Whose character model did you like? Do you hate Dustin's voice actor or voice choice as much as I do? Let me know. Please leave a like on the video to help me keep growing. And I will see you next time here on Sandro Says. Take care.